All right. Are we live? I would assume so. It looks like everything's good. Looks like everything's just fine and dandy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Gaming Grifter Podcast. I am Akalon, your host, and also the only person here. So, you cannot actually be confused at this point. But I am so very happy to be joined once again by all of you. Rob, how you doing? Michael, how you doing, bro? I hope you guys are doing super, super well. Thank you so much to everyone that is here, that's making the time on this Saturday evening or afternoon, depending on where you are in the world, to hang out, talk a little bit about the news in the gaming industry and the craziness that is the gaming industry at the moment, which I'm sure we're going to get into. The purpose here is to hang out with you guys, to talk about gaming news, but also to get your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences, and, what everyone thinks is going to be happening next with all of this. Michael, how you doing? Rob, how you doing, sir? I hope everyone here is having a good week and had a good week. Hakai, how you doing, sir? Grofile, how you doing? Nunomics or Phenomics, how you doing, sir? Very, very happy to be here with all of you. Okay, so first stories first. I'm going to talk about something that I think is not necessarily gaming related, but it's interesting enough and definitely important enough that it should be mentioned, it should be noted. There's been something that literally earlier today, I was doing the podcast earlier today with Rurikon. For those of you that aren't following that podcast yet, it's called Mythic Banter. Caleb, how you doing, bro? And you should definitely be following that. But during that, or just before that, Rurik and I were talking about view counts. I know that's super boring and for a viewer who gives a crap. But Rurikon was saying that his viewership numbers are in the tank. Like, it's just way down from where it used to be. And I got curious, so I thought I'd go search a little. Is there other content creators that's complaining about the same thing? Then turns out, yes, it's like widespread. A lot of content creators are going, dude, my views are just gone. Like, you have channels that went from about 15,000 views a day down to like 100 to 400 viewers a day. Like, that's it, right? So channels just completely died. And the reason I'm making this video is if you have favorite content creators, if you have people that you love watching, YouTube's algorithm now wants something extra. It no longer looks at click-through rate or any of that nonsense. It now only cares about positive markers, or at least what it calls positive markers, which means likes, comments, and shares. That's literally it. That's all the algorithm cares about. So if you have a favorite content creator, literally Smash JT, Hypnotic, whoever it is, when you watch their videos, hit that like button because it does help. For some reason, that's what the algorithm wants now. So, yeah, I thought I'd do this little PSA just for those of you that, have favorite content creators that you enjoy watching. We're going to be talking about a Mass Spiker. Guaranteed that's going to be on the list of things to talk about. Clean, how you doing? No Twitch on a Friday. Twitch is for the rest of the week. So from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that's Twitch. Fridays is YouTube. Right? That way we have a sort of a split. Fridays is for the podcast where we talk about gaming news, and Twitch is for literally everything else. We are going to start, however. Ravy G, how you doing, sir? Yes, we are back at it, back in the mines. You guys know how it is. We have to do this, right? There's no options here. I'm going to start with something that isn't gaming related, if you guys will allow me. Okay, and I'm only going to do this because there's been so much pushback on this. Now, for those of you that don't know, I am South African. It should be obvious at this point, but I am South African. And so I've obviously, for the last few days, really been paying attention to the media, really been paying attention to what's happening in America, the meeting between my El Presidente, or Presidento, or whatever, however you want to say it, and the American president, President Donald Trump. I've been watching it, right? And obviously, I've done my research on this, so I know what I believe, right? And I know for a fact that by every single proper definition of genocide, there is a genocide happening in South Africa. If you go just purely by definition, there is a genocide happening in South Africa. Now, we could argue about the extent of the genocide. Obviously, not all genocides are created equal. A genocide that happens, the genocide, for example, that happened in Rwanda isn't looking the same as this one. Obviously, there's not thousands or millions of people killed in a very short period of time. Here in South Africa, it's more based on around 2% of the white farming population that is killed every single year. Remember, there's only about 40,000 commercial white farmers in South Africa, and of that, about 2% are killed every single year in South Africa. So that's a large number, right? What is a boer? A boer is just a farmer, right? It's the Afrikaans word for farmer. But there is a more colloquial word or meaning attached to it, where Afrikaners, people like myself, call ourselves boers, right? Or boer, which originally was meant to be a bit of an insult, right? So it started off as a bit of a slur towards the Afrikaner, but we sort of adapted it, and it became a point of national pride, so to speak. But yeah, a boer is just meant to be a white farmer, or if you want to be very critical or just based on the definition of the word, it is just a farmer, right? That's the word that we have for farmer, is boer. So there is a genocide happening. Of course, Trump showed it, and as you can imagine, shortly after how many of you saw the media articles calling Trump a liar, fact-checking Trump on all of this? How many of you saw this? As a man, can you tell me why this happened in Africa? Is this because of history or economy? So there's a big story here that we can probably get into if you guys really want to. What you need to know about all of this is the farm murders start in the 1980s. Now, in the 1980s, the ANC is still classified as a terrorist organization, not just in South Africa, but worldwide. And worldwide, the ANC is classified as a terrorist organization because of the terrorist acts, not because they oppose apartheid. That part, a lot of the rest of the world actually agrees with, but in the way that they oppose apartheid. So the ANC is guilty of things like bombing malls and shopping centers, car bombs that they would place. They would kill women and children. They would target kindergartens, like pre-primary schools or kindergarten centers. They would basically target civilian centers, blow them up, kill a bunch of people. So the ANC was very much involved in what we would call terrorist actions. And then in the 80s, the ANC comes up with a new tactic. This is farm murders. So the ANC's sort of military wing comes up with these farm murders. And the idea behind the farm murders is we're going to slowly but surely push them out of, off of the farms, off of the rural areas and into the cities. So we're going to make life miserable for them. As a result of this, the South African government forms what is called the commando units. The commando units are a civilian military wing, and the commando units, their only job is to keep rural and farming communities safe. These people are trained in the military. My dad was part of the commando for many, many years until it was disbanded. So 1994 happens. Nelson Mandela becomes the president of Southern Africa. Obviously, the ANC is no longer classified as a terrorist organization. The farm murders, however, don't stop. The farm murders that started in the 1980s don't stop in 1994. Now, at the time, the ANC insisted that these murders were only in protest to apartheid. But remember, in 1994, apartheid ends. There's no more apartheid. The ANC has won. But the farm murders don't end. They take down a little, but they don't stop. So the commando is still in place. They're still fighting it. In 2003, now farm murders are already becoming a significant problem. You already have activist groups trying to get the government to classify these as priority crimes in South Africa, which would allow for the commandos to have a lot more power and a lot more sort of freedom to stop these attacks. In 2003, then President Thabo Mbeki of the ANC announces the closure of the commando, right? So this entire corps will now be closed down. And their argument at the time is kind of like, this is a civilian military operation, and the military cannot really be civil or part of the civilian life. So instead, what they're going to do is they're going to close the commando units, but then they're going to move that to the police reservist movement, right? So now you'll have police reservists. This never happens. In 2008, the commandos are finally closed. The last vestiges of commandos are closed, but the police reservist thing never actually happens. So the commandos are not closed. The last and first line of defense for farmers and rural communities are done. It's been illegal now. It's now illegal. You can no longer operate this way. But the promised sort of replacement for it never actually comes to fruition. Now you have people calling on the ANC to classify these murders of farmers as high priority crimes. For example, a murder in South Africa, if a white man is caught killing a black man, that murder will be tried as a hate crime. Now, hate crimes are charged with a lot more vigor, and also the sentencing is a hell of a lot higher. That's not true for farm murders, right? So when a farm murder happens, when a black person kills a white person, it's just crime. So we're told that, no, you don't understand. When a white person kills a black person, that's a hate crime. But if it's a black person that kills a white person, that's just murder, you know? Never mind the fact that these murders are incredibly gruesome and oftentimes beyond what one could sort of, I think, reasonably call just murder. Oftentimes, these murderers aren't even charged as first-degree murders, but rather just as robberies gone wrong. So manslaughter is oftentimes on the table. And that's even if these people get caught. Right? So there's no real priority from the government side to make this a thing that they're going to attack or that they're going to try and solve. So now people will come with the argument, oh, but it's only like 60 or maybe like 120 people. I saw a figure going around that claimed that there's been over 19,000 murders in South Africa in the last year, in 2024, and only 7 of those were of farmers. There's a big problem with that. Where did they get that statistic? Because it doesn't exist in South Africa. What you need to understand is the South African police in 2008 stopped recording race as part of crime investigations. So where exactly does the number 7 come from? Because it sure as hell cannot come from the official documentation of South Africa because it's not recorded. In South Africa, murder is literally just recorded by the police as murder. They don't actually record when it's a white person that's dying or a black person killing a white person. So I don't know where this figure comes from. The figure itself is probably completely dreamt up. But now, of course, all of you have seen the media sort of pretending like this is complete nonsense. Trump is just lying. None of this really matters. You know, whatever the case might be. How many of you here have strong doubts about the fact that there is actually a genocide? Like, you're not ready to say that there is no genocide, but definitely the media has sort of swayed you that you are sort of questioning it. You're sort of going, man, is there really a genocide, or is this just some big ploy to get white people into America? And you can be super honest here, by the way. There's no judgment from me. I won't judge you for it. I understand when you have all of this evidence coming out that it can be really confusing. So please, you know, I would love to know. I know for a fact that it's happening. My WoW raiding guild during WOD was almost all South Africans. Let's talk about the definition. It's not in its classical sense, but it's stochastic terror. Obi-Wan, yeah, well, stochastic terror is more what Julius Malema is doing. The farm murders, I would say, is more kinetic terrorism. But I get what you're saying. How you doing, by the way? No doubt that the media is rejecting something that doesn't fit their narrative. I only have semantic terminology differences. What do you mean, Caliph? If the media tells me it's not happening, it's definitely happening. This situation is very weird that this problem so highlight in Trump presidency. Costum, you're correct. If someone gets swayed by CNN, that just speaks volumes for their IQ. I guess you're not wrong on that one. US media and all leftist media follows. Okay, so now that I have a little bit of your mindset here, it turns out that now I have only just found this article, right? I've only just found this article, so I have not done any sort of research into this at all. But apparently, the ECIPS president, who, according to this, it's in recent years, the violence in South Africa, President Ricardo of the European Center for Information Policy and Security, the official European Union intelligence agency, mandated by royal decree. So you have the official European intelligence agency that found that Trump's claims about genocide in South Africa is true. So in other words, you have Trump and obviously the intelligence agencies of America claiming that there is most likely a genocide happening in South Africa. Now you also have the European intelligence agency backing Trump, saying, yeah, there's most likely a genocide happening in South Africa. So the question becomes, do you truly believe that the European Union or any of the agencies of the European Union is going to back Trump on a lie? If, of course, this is true. Daniel, how are you doing? Because I would argue probably not. Europe isn't great fans of Trump, and most European agencies aren't great fans of Trump. Now, as I said, I don't know exactly whether or not this article is true or whether or not this article is on point. I literally found it moments before we started the stream. So it is super difficult for me, but I just wanted to share this with you. You guys can now keep an eye out for it and make up your own minds as to what you believe. But yeah, effectively, according to the intelligence of this article, at least according to that intelligence agency of the official intelligence agency of the European Union, the President Ricardo Baratsky claims that, yes, there is a genocide happening. So yeah, if you think Trump is full of crap and Trump is lying, that's one thing. But that means that you now also have to believe that the European Union is lying. I know several South Africans, and I've never met one that's been like, man, I really want to live in the US or some European country more than my home country. I have no real opinion on genocide, this genocide, that. I just know that there's no reason a bunch of people wanting to leave their country like that would be for no reason. Saber Wolf, how you doing, bro? I mean, that is super fair, and I think people underestimate just how much South Africans love South Africa, right? Afrikaners believe that this is our country. We were born here, we were raised here. I don't think you'll find many South Africans that would leave for no reason, right? Now, I'm sure there are some. I'm sure there are some who's just leaving because it's a better country and the economics are better. I'm sure, right? That is there. But yeah. Are you referring to the two devs that marathon live stream that's out of touch, or Randy? Hasan, we're going to be talking about that. Right? Haven't gotten to that yet, but we're going to be talking about that as well. I think there's more to it than just that, right? So, okay. How many of you follow Hamas Piker? Or at least know about Hamas Piker? Ground News, there's no article on it yet. Might show up later today to invalidate the article claims. Daniel, yeah, please let me know. Because, like I said, I just found this and I thought it was interesting and at least important enough that you guys should know about it. If it's true, great. If it isn't true, great. It doesn't really matter. Do you assume his followers are here? I'm not assuming his followers are here. I'm asking if people follow the news of Hamas Piker. Not whether or not they care about Hamas Piker, but do they at least know who he is, right? Watch the Naxanor series on Hasan. Oh, I know about that fool. So it turns out that Hasan might be in bigger trouble than I think even he realizes, but I want to show you guys this because this is, you want to talk about glorious. This is glorious. Let me just see if I can find this for you. Did I bookmark it? I think I bookmarked it. Here we go. Listen to Hasan. Suddenly, guys, this man is panicked. Like, suddenly this man is panicked. Like, just listen to this.
Chatter, are you crazy? Chatter goes, yo, use this as your blast off meme. No, I'm not going to do that, okay? Missed therapy appointment, so now I have to pay extra, and we're here. What is this? You about to be arrested? For what? Having a fucking fat cock? Don't think that's illegal. You about... True.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
But you'll see in a second. Just watch this.
Osama bin balling blast off. Can you get through the news before 3 p.m.?
Professor Likely looking at him now. Oh, Matthew, he knows. He knows.
Should I use Tyrese Halliban? Should I do that?
We'll see. You'll see in a second.
No, dude, I can't. Yeah, I'm not going to use this, dude. Y'all are so stupid. Give me. Okay, guys, this is not like. This is not a time to be fucking. It's not a time for you to say fun, wild, edgy things. Okay, there are probably 1,000 people in the chat currently documenting every single thing that you guys are saying in an effort to basically tie it back to me and this community.
Now keep in mind, Hasan's community doesn't say fun, edgy, quirky things. Hasan has made the claims himself. He pretends like him and his community are bastions of intelligence, right? They're a place where he informs people about what's actually happening in the world. These things that him and his people believe are not just jokes. They're not just edgy little things. He's not trying to be an edgelord. Remember, he's the one that says, edgelords are cringe. But now suddenly he's making, and you have to really unpack the whole of the claim, right? So you can tell he's very stressed because his community is making fun of this whole thing, right? They're having a field day because, a son is going to get in trouble. He knows that he's about to get shat on. So what he's doing is he's going, guys, please stop posting your edgy jokes. Please stop posting all this pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist stuff in chat because there might be people documenting this now, right? Like people are actually watching now. So the whole thing is meant to sort of signal to the people that might start to investigate him that, but guys, we're just making jokes over here. Right, this isn't real. Like, we're not really anti-Israel or anti-Jews. We're just sort of joking around, And I told you guys this before. And this is just my own speculation on it. But I would not be surprised if Hasan has funding from some kind of terrorist organization. And I'll tell you why. There is not a single conflict in the world where Hasan doesn't immediately take the side of the extremist Muslims. Always. I mean, take, for example, what happened in India and Pakistan. Before we even knew what had happened in India and Pakistan, Hasan was already on the side of Pakistan. Right? He was already running defense for Pakistan, saying this is India and this is all India ever does. So fundamentally, Hasan, you should ask questions when someone's entire brand is, first and foremost, running defense and apologetics for terrorist organizations across the world. If it's an Islamic terrorist organization, Hasan has its back. You should then start asking questions when when this guy takes these terrorist organizations and whitewashes their actions. Because that's another thing Hasan does on his channel all the time. Remember that to this day, Hasan refuses to admit that there were actual grapes and stuff happening on October 7th. He still demands that there's no proof. He insists that there's no proof of that happening on October 7th. He actually claims that Hamas did nothing on October 7th. Hamas, this was a legitimate sort of resistance movement on October 7th. It wasn't aimed at civilians or whatever. So Hasan not only runs defense for terrorist organizations, he whitewashes what terrorist organizations do. He then, and I would just want to point this out, there's actual videos of Hasan running recruitment videos of terrorist organizations on his channel to his tens of thousands of viewers. Those videos of the Houthis, the videos of the Muslim Brotherhood, those are recruitment videos. That's why they're uploaded to YouTube in the first place. They're trying to recruit people for their global jihad. And Hasan plays these for his community. There's a very good chance that if the government starts looking into Hasan, they will find connections to terrorist organizations, funding from terrorist organizations, and that will not be pretty. Now, do I think that the ADL is correct in demanding that Hasan has no right to speak? No. I do think Hasan needs to be investigated, though. I think the FBI needs to investigate Twitch, and it needs to investigate Hasan. Because I also have some questions about Twitch. Like, for example, why has this man never been banned? Why has Twitch applied all of their rules against everyone else except against Hasan? So clearly there's something weird going on with Twitch. I think the FBI should be investigating Hasan. They should be investigating Twitch. If they find that Hasan is just a moron that just says nonsense stuff all the time, great. It's not illegal to be a moron, right? But I have a feeling they'll find way more. Because Hasan is already going around wiping his entire Discord, removing everything. What Hasan, of course, doesn't realize is that wiping your Discord does not wipe your Discord. Discord keeps logs of everything typed and posted inside Discord. In fact, what's typed and posted inside Discord is public knowledge. It's publicly available. You can literally go and get any Discord's public conversations and you can just know it, right? So clearly, Hasan is afraid, very afraid of some of the stuff that's happening and some of the stuff that might be out there. He's another mole for the FBI. I mean, that's another thing that I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if it turns out that Hasan is actually being paid by the government, by maybe the Democrats, or being paid by, the FBI to basically push their own narratives. This would not surprise me. Not in the slightest. Why does it feel so dystopian that an entertainment platform is just used as a propaganda platform to push foreign political messages? Oh, yeah. That is a serious problem. I do agree with you. Nevin does, how you doing, bro? I mean, I'm pretty sure he helped with dollars, some interesting groups, Oh, yeah, Nevin does. I would not, again, be surprised. Akechi, how you doing? Matty B, how you doing, sir? Dan Clancy and Hasan are massive problems for Twitch. Dude, if this actually turns into a global scandal, so if this actually turns into a public investigation, I think that might be the last straw. I think in that moment, Amazon may actually go, there's no point in this. Because Twitch doesn't make Amazon any money. Twitch is a losing business at this point. It's not profitable. So if you're Amazon, you're looking at this going, wait, hold on. Like, these guys are costing us a shit ton of money, right? These guys are getting us now investigated by the American government for nonsense that we genuinely don't want to deal with. I mean, you just have this story that I found earlier today. Let me just quickly find it here. This, right? Clearly, the world is changing. You have Disney CEO Bob Iger and ABC News President Ullman have advised the hosts of The View to tone down their political rhetoric, particularly their criticism of President Trump. Right, so the world is changing. I think a lot of people are starting to realize that the media might be out there pretending like Trump is full of nonsense and Trump doesn't know what he's talking about, but the people that know that he isn't. Know that he isn't just full of crap. They know, he knows what he's on about and he knows what he's talking about. Have you seen that ad revenue on Twitch dropped massively the last 2 months? Obi-Wan, I mean, I don't have a lot of viewers on Twitch, so I don't make a lot of ad revenue to begin with. So I'm not sure what views get where. I saw people complaining that they don't get a lot of super chats on YouTube, a lot of viewers on YouTube and all the rest of it. And again, I don't make a lot of money on YouTube either from super chats or membership. So I have no idea, right? I can't talk about sort of money from the live streaming world. I genuinely don't know. We're entering Trump world, baby. This is only going to continue. Wait, Jeff Bezos have the balls to get rid of thousands of woke streamers and Twitch employees. Dude, I don't know if Jeff Bezos has the balls for it, but remember, if the military or if the government starts investigating Twitch, they're automatically going to investigate Amazon. Do you think Amazon wants to be dragged into a 3, 4, 5 year investigation to check whether or not they have ties to terrorist organizations or not? I don't think so. Like, would you? So it might just be easier to go like, who wants to buy Twitch for $1? We just want to get rid of this bullshit. Like, we really don't want to be here anymore. So it might actually just be easier. It's not entirely truthful though. Asman only streams on his second account, which isn't partnered, and he doesn't run the normal amount of ads. I know Twitch definitely wants to go through that with how they're going. Well, I think Twitch thought for a long time that no one would care, right? Remember, I think for a long time, a lot of people thought that Kamala Harris was going to have it in the bag, right? A lot of people thought Kamala Harris, there's no way that she'd lose to Donald Trump. And so a lot of these guys just thought that the party would never stop. The party would never end. Now the party has ended, and it appears as if people don't really take kindly to this nonsense anymore. So yeah, there is, of course, that. But, ladies and gentlemen, now that we've discussed Hamas Piker and we've discussed South Africa's genocide issues, let's talk about what really matters. By now, all of you know about the marathon stuff, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. So, quick recap for those of you that don't know. Marathon, the game from Bungie, that wonderful, glorious company that, has a track record of stealing assets from artists. They stole assets from an artist once again. So, very interesting thing. They made this entire game, and then the actual artist sort of came out and they were like, wait, you just outright stole my shit. And we're not even talking about sort of somewhat took it. We're talking about, let me see if I can find this post again from this artist. Here you go, right? So you look at this post. See that? This is their work, right? This is Anti-Real's work. What you're looking at here is Anti-Real's work. Look at the sort of icons there at the bottom. You see the exact same icons, just in a little bit of a different order over there. The icons there, again, just sort of placed at a different angle. You have... Where's this again? Here we go. Here you have their work, right? Aleph is the word, right? This is what they made. They made this in the white. They made this. Aleph. Look at how it's literally just stolen and put into their game, right as it is. So, okay, all of this stuff happens, and eventually Bungie comes out and they admit, yes, this happened. Then they have the live stream. You guys should know about the live stream already. It's the live stream where the lead art director looked like he was about to have a coronary, or at least struggling with constipation, right? This guy looked so depressed. It looked like he was going to go take care of himself right afterwards, self-deletion or something. He looked like he was really struggling with it. And they offered this huge, empty apology. And I call it empty because this is where the story gets really screwed up. Their official story is that this artist's work was placed in a folder by another unnamed developer that left the company, and that they didn't know. And so when they found this folder, they just sort of used it as reference frames for their work. This gets really tricky, though, when you find out that the art director and a bunch of artists at Bungie follow the artist in question. Anti-Real, the one I just showed you, they follow her. So there's almost zero chance that they didn't know this comes from Anti-Real. They were well aware that this was Anti-Real's art. They just decided we'll have it. And this is where the story for today comes from. This is what I want to talk to you guys about. What happened shortly after this big blow up? Did you guys follow the media? So BS man, they called the 5th time for plagiarism. There's no chance it's accident. I definitely agree with you. No layoffs. Follow the media. What did the media do directly after all of this happened? There were like 2 days where the media wrote a bunch of articles calling it out, sort of making it news, and then something else happened. Suddenly, the articles started to come out about the terrible circumstances and the terrible situation in which the devs at Bungie have to work. Suddenly, the articles started to come out from the media about how the executives and the higher-ups at Bungie really create an environment at Bungie that makes it impossible for these developers to work, from crunch to frat boy culture to all, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? All the greatest hits. So I'm doing research on a story. Everything I'm about to tell you is complete conjecture and conspiracy theory, and there's no hard evidence for it. What I'm telling you sort of starts to make sense when you follow the threads, but only in terms of that, right? There's no actual hard evidence, and I don't know even how I would go about getting the hard evidence for it. I'm still looking, but we'll see. 2014, the journalists and the game developers, the woke ones, get their asses handed to them. They get completely kicked out of the gaming industry. Gamers want none of this nonsense. A lot of media companies at the time start to suffer losses, massive losses as a result of loss in readership, because gamers will not have this. They will not be told that they're racist, sexist pieces of shit, right? So what happens is, in about late 2014, all of the then giants and juggernauts of Gamergate 1, we're talking about people like Sargon of Akkad, Shoe on Head, those people, they basically do their victory lap. They go, we won. The gamers kicked out the wokies from their hobby. Victory at last. And what ends up happening is almost all of them move on from the gaming industry. They start covering real politics, right? They go into the real world because we won. Gaming is safe. Only, do yourselves a favor and go read Jason Schreier's articles again on the alleged frat boy culture, sexual harassment that happened in the gaming industry during sort of 2016 all the way up to 2019. Just do yourself a favor and go read those articles again, because I have. Do you guys want to take a guess at how many developers are named in those articles? Take a guess. Like actual named developers that spoke out. None. Every single one of these articles simply says that a number of former as well as current employees spoke to him under the condition of anonymity. Now, I don't have a problem with people speaking anonymously. I myself have had people in the past that spoke to me that refused to be named. But it gets a little weird. See, because we have actual evidence of an actual investigation that was done by the Californian government into Blizzard. Now, remember, the Californian government started their investigation as a result of Jason Schreier's article about Blizzard Entertainment. Now, remember, there were dozens of developers, former and current, that spoke to Jason Schreier under the conditions of remaining anonymous that allowed him to write this article about breast milk being drank, female developers en masse being assaulted in the cubicles, men taking out their penises, all that stuff, right? So terrible, terrible stuff that happened. After almost 2 years of investigation by the Californian government, the authorities of the government comes out and says they find no evidence of widespread sexual harassment or corruption at Blizzard Entertainment, at Activision Blizzard. This is interesting, no? Jason Schreier's article makes it seem like every single female developer at Blizzard was suffering daily as a result of massive sexual harassment. Hey, we had female developers literally screaming that they were the victims of sexual harassment. I don't know if you guys remember, but we had these sort of fat developers sitting there going, yeah, I was being attacked and they were doing all sorts of stuff to me. But yet the investigation finds no evidence of actual wrongdoing. And instead it just slaps Activision with a fine. And it says, yeah, we could find no actual evidence of widespread sexual harassment. In the end, a handful of developers lose their jobs. Alex Afrasiabi being one of them. In all of the other articles that Jason Schreier writes, not a single one of them actually turn into a public investigation. Why is that? You have giant organizations, giant firms being accused of breaking the law. And yet, only Blizzard ever gets investigated, and there's a public admission that nothing happened. Nothing to see here. More importantly, Jason Schreier goes on to write a whole book on Blizzard and all of the disgusting stuff that happened at Blizzard. And yet I'll remind you, the Californian government found no evidence of widespread harassment at Blizzard. So where are all these developers that spoke to Jason Schreier? Apparently they didn't want to speak to the government. Apparently they were more than happy to talk to Schreier, but once it became the government, they were like, nah, never mind, don't care. Am I saying that Jason Schreier lied? No, I can't say that. That would be a wild claim that I have no evidence for. Is it possible that Jason Schreier was lied to? That's entirely possible. All I'm saying is there were allegations made, and yet in the end, not a single one of these allegations were ever found to have any merit whatsoever. But on the basis of these allegations, the gaming industry were forced by the media to become more diverse, to hire more female developers, to be more inclusive, to be more pride-focused. Think about the decline in gaming, ladies and gentlemen. Just think about the decline in gaming. We see a marked drop in quality from the gaming industry after 2018. Following the events of sort of 2016 all the way up to like early 2019, we see a massive drop in quality from the gaming industry. And all because these articles, remember all these articles that came out about crunch in the video game industry, frat boy culture, harassment, female developers not feeling safe, these companies being sexist, homophobic places to work at. All of these articles, just article after article after article, coming out from the mainstream media. And I want to remind you that some of the people who wrote these articles are people like Alyssa Mercante. Alyssa Mercante, now a proven liar. We have evidence of her completely twisting stories, removing context in order to make herself seem like the victim when she in fact is the perpetrator. These are the people that demanded that the games industry be fixed. And shortly after their fixes are implemented, we're dealing with things like Dragon Age the Veilguard. We're dealing with bullshit like Star Wars Outlaws. With nonsense like Assassin's Creed Shadows. I obviously have no evidence for any of this. But to me, it fits. To me, all of this seems like I cannot not forget Unknown 9, because if we want to talk about the most unforgettable game in the, at least Concord was worthy to laugh at. Unknown 9, we didn't even laugh at Unknown 9. It came out, it died, and not a single video was made. Everyone was just sort of like, what was that? Anyway, and everyone just moved on. So you kind of have to forget about Unknown 9. It was a complete failure. But all of this follows. To me, at least, it makes perfect sense. And if that's it, Blizz had a drop in quality at random too. Just look at their expansion trains or how they mismanaged the marketing for StarCraft 2. I think the journalists jumped on an opportunity. Daniel, so again, let's examine it, right? So Blizzard has their first, shall we say, questionable expansion in, was it Shadowlands? Was the first time we had a super questionable expansion. Battle for Azeroth was sort of bad, but not quite as bad. But it was during the Battle for Azeroth stuff that a lot of these articles start to come out. Then in Shadowlands, we have the true bad expansion, right? And it's literally between 9.0 and 9.1 that all of these articles come out. You know, that we're just inundated with article after article about all the sexual harassment and stuff that's happening at Blizzard. From there on, Blizzard's story becomes more feminine, right? In every single expansion, they're killing more and more of the male characters. Blizzard's entire approach to game design, you can actually tell that there are more female developers working on the game because a lot of the decisions being made are made for women, not for men, right? Since then, you have a complete sort of walk back of anything that's sexy, anything that's cute, anything that's badass. This cannot happen. The power of friendship becomes the big thing, right? So I would argue that while Blizzard definitely had a bit of a hiccup with Shadowlands, the true damage to World of Warcraft is actually done after Shadowlands. Because it is after Shadowlands that it becomes very, very obvious this company physically cannot be saved. Because it's now just doubling down on every single bad idea in the gaming industry. Like, it doesn't even matter. Every single bad idea is now becoming the idea. It's a A24 movie, which I take to be a wild mixed bag. Caleb, wait, what are you talking? Oh, the Elden Ring movie. I only saw that it's happening. I don't know yet whether it's good or bad, right? I don't know anything about A24, so I physically cannot speak on that. I just know that I'm super excited because I think Elden Ring would make for a phenomenal movie. In today's world, it's super important. You can't just say a film will be good and will be good because it has a good theme. After 5+ expansions of her getting special treatment, I started to dislike her. Yeah, well, Sylvanas was sort of ridden right up until the point where no one really cared about Sylvanas anymore. So that is definitely something to be kept in mind. Now I have a very important question for all of you. This is super important, guys. You have to... Are your fingers on your keyboards? I want you to sit on attention. Back straight, ass perked out, fingers ready. Would you... I'm talking directly to you. Would you pay 80 buckaroos for a video game? Not in this economy. Not anymore. Depends on the game. Sean, you bring up an interesting thing here. What would a game... Let me ask you guys this question this way. What would a game need to be in order for you to consider paying 80 bucks? Like, what would you need a game to be in order for you to go... I might actually consider this. $25 years of good reputation. I would never pay $80 for an American AAA corporate game. Red Dead Redemption 3, Gamers Republic. That's respectful. I definitely respect that. KCD 2, clear obscure quality. All right. It has to be way better than Elden Ring. Shadows, so, you see, I don't even want to talk about Randy Pitchford and his incredibly brain-dead take, because it was brain-dead. Let's be very clear. Randy Pitchford is a moron, and I think everyone should know that, right? Tadia, how you doing? I think the bigger problem that I want to address is the fact that these developers seem to think $80 is going to fix their problem. If you listen to the interview that Randy Pitchford did, where he sort of spoke about the fact that he can't answer how much they're going to be charging for the game just yet, but people need to understand Borderlands 4 has double the budget of Borderlands 3, because that's how committed they are to making this game really, really good. This means that Borderlands 4 will have a budget of between 250 and 300 mil. That's the budget of the game. The issue here is that $80 doesn't fix the problem of games not breaking even. And Rurikon actually made a very interesting point earlier today. It's kind of like the investor mindset. See, investors think in this way. If I put more money in, I'll get more money out. The more I invest, the more I'll get out. Now, there's nothing wrong with that mindset, except the mindset does not work in video games. Just because you're putting more money into the budget does not mean that you automatically get that money back in greater value. Right? There's a point where your budget has become so ridiculous that you won't make it back. There's no way for you to truly make back that money. Because if we were to just grant them the $80, right, So we say they get $80. Modern day gaming studios would have to sell at max price 10 million copies of their games in order to make back their money. At max price. That's if they get 100% of the 80, which they don't. They only get to keep 70% of the 80. So in other words, they would probably have to sell closer to 12 million at max pricing, which is very rare, FYI. When you look at games that manage to sell 22, 23, 24 million copies over, say, 10 years, the vast majority of those copies are bought on sale. So when the game is 50% off, 75% off, because a lot of people would be happy to buy that, right? But very few people, I would argue, is going to buy a game like Borderlands 4 at $80. And the point of this, I don't know how you can be the president of a studio and not make that connection. Like, how can you not figure that out? Surely you must be smart enough to figure out that, hold on, boys, our budgets have become ridiculous. There's no way we can continue to pay 300 mil for video games to make our video game and expect ourselves to make the money back. Because he blames it on us, by the way. I don't know if you guys know, but if you listen to Randy Pitchford, he blames it on us. We apparently have all of these expectations that require them to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on budgets. And then it's just like, wait, but it seems to me that you're full of shit. Because players are playing things like Clair Obscur. That didn't cost that much money, right? Players are playing things like Helldivers, because, again, didn't cost that much money. Seems like a lot of gamers are more than happy to play very, very cheap games and have fun with it. And these games, by the way, happen to make shit tons of money. Clair Obscur definitely made its money back. I was just told today by Rurikon that Tainted Grail just came out. Tainted Grail is sort of like an RPG in the Skyrim sense. It's launching either soon or have already launched. Interesting thing about that game, super good, according to Rurikon, $40. Again, not a full price game. It genuinely seems like the AAA industry has gone, we need to charge $80 if we want to make money. The AA industry has gone, we think we can make money with 40. Who do you think is going to win this war? Who do you think ultimately is going to win this war? The $40 ones, right? The people who charge only $40 are going to make far more money because I can spend $40 on a game. Heck, I'll buy 4 games if I'm only spending 40 on it. But one game for 80 seems a bit rich for my blood. And the reason for it is, as you charge more for games, the expectation for the quality of the game becomes more. Right? I want to see more. This game needs to deliver more. I had someone say to me in my video about this, their biggest problem with Borderlands specifically being $80 is Borderlands is never feature complete. Borderlands always launches with a shit ton of DLC. So what? Charge $80 and then DLC players for another 100, 2, 3, 4, 500. Like, how much do you want to charge? Where do you actually want to end up? This is ridiculous. I don't think, you know what? It's remarkable to me how stupid the gaming industry has become. I'm flabbergasted. From the customer's perspective, if I have fun with $40, then the $80 one need to be double the fun. Clean, I think that's the biggest problem for the gaming industry. And I think this is where these guys have completely lost touch with ordinary gamers because they don't know ordinary gamers. They don't care about ordinary gamers. But here's the thing that they seem to think, right? So from their perspective, players need to look at this $80 increase as a natural increase because prices have just gotten more expensive. It's more expensive to make video games. That's not psychologically how it works. If you charge me $80, I expect to see more quality than what I would have gotten for $60. I can't change this. I can't change this in my own mind. I can't force myself to now suddenly care about this thing or this pricing because I just don't care about this pricing. From my perspective, you're charging me too much for what you're giving me. They don't seem to understand that. They don't seem to understand that if you're charging $80 and you're bringing a game that previously was $60, most players will look at that and go, that's not worth it. I'm not willing to pay that. I can live without buying AAA on release at that price point for a really long while. Shadow, you're not alone. I think they're underestimating, first and foremost, the sheer amount of AA games that's coming to market. And I think they're genuinely sort of underestimating how stubborn gamers can be. You know, we are the people who refuse to download a free client just because this client refuses to make games available everywhere. I'm talking, of course, about the Epic Game Client. I myself am one of those gamers that just go, will not download it. Screw you, bitch. I'll wait until this game launches on Steam. I will not buy it. I will not play it on Epic. I will not. Right? It's free. I could just download it. But because Epic is doing this whole exclusive bullshit, my mind is going, no, I don't think I will. I will wait until you come to where I am. Right? That's gamers for you. Like, we have the ability to just go, nah, fine, I'll play a million other games. I have more than enough to keep myself busy. Thank you. Drop the price, bitch. It's more so for me that it is not a value to buy an incomplete product for double the price of a feature complete product when the complete product works as well or better for the intended purpose. Say, well, again, you're absolutely spot on there. Did some looking up? Tainted Grail is out sometime today. Apparently, it's really good. I've skipped at least 8 games because they require me to use Epic. Yeah, I don't want Epic anywhere near me. 40k Rogue Trader is half price in PlayStation Store. Speaking of, did you guys see how many 40k fans do we have in chat? As you guys can tell, I'm a bit of a 40k fan myself. Do we have any 40k fans here? Also, out of principle, cannot support American AAA studios anymore. I don't give an F what game it is. I'm done giving the money. I can appreciate that. Blood for the Blood God. Skulls for the Skull Throne. Bugger Games, how you doing, sir? I like it, but I don't know the lore too much. So, some good news for all of you. Dawn of War is getting a remaster. And they said they're not going to be changing much. Because why would they change perfection? Which is absolutely true. Dawn of War is a phenomenal game. There is no way to change anything. Make the graphics beautiful, make it nice for new PCs, and we got ourselves a game, right? Then you have, and this is even better news for all of us Warhammer fans, there's another CRPG coming called Dark Heresy, and this is what really excited me about it. In Dark Heresy, you play as an Inquisitor. And you're doing investigations into heresy, which is like, dude, yes, please. This is sick. I want this. And I'm just sat here going, where was this energy from Games Workshop? You know, like, where was this energy? Why did it take them this many years to realize, wait, we're sitting on a gold mine. We should start making some video games here. I have played Rogue Trader. I haven't finished yet Custom, but I have played it. I'm not excited for Mechanicus 2 or Bolt Gun 2, though. Yeah, well, I couldn't care about that at all, right? Y'all eating good? True. Nobody's going to expect the Inquisition. If that sounds awesome already. They look more like expansions rather than proper sequels. So, someone asked me who's my favorite faction. It has to be Rabute Gilliman and the Ultramarines. And yes, I'm loyal to the Emperor and the Emperor alone. For the Emperor. I don't like the Chaos dudes. I just don't. Also, I do like Lionel Johnson. I could accept Lionel Johnson as well. Epic Thulu, how you doing, bro? Think we should have their own Space Marine squad? Do they not? Not their own Space Marine squad, but you're probably talking about the Black Templars, because they're sort of like the Inquisition in terms of their absolute just firm no to anything that's heretical sort of danger. Or is it the Grey Knights? I think the Grey Knights act on behalf of the Inquisition. So usually when Grey Knights show up, you know you're screwed. Because they don't ask questions. Once they arrive, it's good game. The Death Watch and the Grey Knights are both under. Oh, Death Watch is the one I was thinking of. Sorry, not the Black Templars. The Death Knights. Oh, the Death Watch were the ones I'm talking about, because they're also fanatical about shit. And then the Grey Knights. But the whole point of the Grey Knights is, by the time you see the Grey Knights, you know it's over. Your planet is either getting completely warped or nuked out of orbit, or everyone's dying. Because the Grey Knights are not so much about the questions. They're more about the, we shoot and we don't ask questions. We just get rid of all the problem. Because, hey, if no one's left alive, there's no chaos. You know? Which is, I guess, a viable strategy. Onimusha 2 comes out in a few days. I don't know what that is. Big E is the only logical answer, unless you're an ignorant communist. True. Absolutely spot on and true. Do we have Star Citizen fans in chat? Okay, have you ever watched Space King? It sounds familiar, but I don't think so, no. Elijah, how you doing, sir? Z Vengeance, how you doing? The Wokies identify themselves with the chaos. I wouldn't be surprised. It's a Warhammer 40k parody. It's hilarious. I'll check it out. Seen it in Archcast. Do we have Star Citizen fans in chat? I just need to make sure, because once you have a Star Citizen fan in chat, these conversations can get really, really weird. Epoch, how you doing, bro? I originally backed it. Bad him. Z Vengeance ditches us for Twitch. Well, Z Vengeance is still here. It's for off stream, though. It can be a bit TOAC. Yeah, no, I won't be watching it on stream. So, Star Citizen. Actually, I just want to ask this. Do you guys actually think Star Citizen is ever going to come out? Like, do you guys actually believe that this game is ever going to release? I backed it. I have no faith. It's a scam. As long as the dollars keeps flowing, it's never coming out. Yes, since Doom Forever released 2. No, wait, it hasn't. Doubtful, no. It's not a scam, but it's a scope bloat. So the problem with this game, the problem with Star Citizen. So very quick recap for those of you that don't know what this actual story is about. There are these things in the game called flight blades. Flight blades allow you to customize your ship even further, increase its maneuverability, its speed, and all the rest of it. Maybe use some guns. I'm not entirely sure about the gun stuff. However, this was the first time that the boys at Star Citizen decided to put flight blades exclusively on the cash shop. You can't earn it in the game. It's only on the cash shop. And it's only available for sort of big purchase prices. So was a bit of a meltdown, as you can imagine, and this ultimately led to them, okay, fine, we'll never release something like this again. You can earn it in-game as well. There's a whole story behind that. Here's why I think people who follow Star Citizen and believe that this game is coming out is absolutely just beyond salvation at this point. What incentive do the developers of Star Citizen have to release this game? Like, what's the incentive? Remember, they've already made $800 million on this game. They currently, for the last few years, sort of run at about $100 million a year that they earn from this game. The second the game launches, that stops. Because people aren't going to continue to buy stuff on the Pledge store once the game goes live, and now everyone can just play it. People are pledging with the constant promise that the game will be finished. There's this constant promise of just another bit of this, just another bit of this. We just need a bit more money, and then we're going to be there. We're just adding a couple more things. So what would be the point of them actually releasing this game? Because once it launches, it's full-blown Judgment. That's Judgment Day. Because right now, it's sort of whales still believe that if they continue to support the game will come out. The other problem, of course, is that there's some people who are so deep into the support of this game that they have to lie to themselves and say the game will come out, right? Don't really have a choice on this one. But there's no actual financial incentive for this studio to launch this game. Yeah, there's a beta at the moment. It is in beta, apparently. But if you actually speak to people who played the game or played the beta, there's nothing there. Sure, the world is traversable and you can run around your ship and you can do stuff, but there's nothing else there. Like, there's no real game. How long has this Star Citizen thing been going? Shadow, I don't want to lie to you, but I think it's something like 10 or 11 years. Are they woke? No, I don't. They're not far enough around to be woke. There's not enough in that game to be woke. They haven't gotten to the pride flags yet. They're still making a game before anything else. So yeah, it's been since 2012. Okay, so it's 13 years now, in other words, or almost 13 years that this game has been running. Which, at this point, you just have to ask yourself, because these guys are selling pictures of ships. They're selling ships that's not even in the game yet for thousands of dollars. Why would they launch? What would be the point? Maybe they're waiting for Gamergate 2 to die down? Dude, maybe, I'm not sure. When I joined the stream, it had me stuck on a delay. Star Citizen is just a grift that keeps on giving. Oh yeah, it's funny as hell to see Star Citizen do Star Citizen things. It'll be the year 3025 and the game will still be in beta. Well, Warframe pulled it off in the same time frame. This is a disgrace in comparison. Well, let me be super sort of generous and try to not... Let me not imagine any facetiousness or any sort of scumbaggery. If I were to be as charitable to these developers as possible, the only thing I can say about this studio is that they have fallen into the trap of scope bloat. Someone said it earlier in chat as well. Where they're chasing this idea of perfect. Now, there's a famous quote that says, perfect is the enemy of good. And the quote, as you can imagine, literally just means that. If you chase perfection, you'll never reach it, because there will always be something that you can do that will be better than what you just did. And the mark of any good product is to reach a point where you go, this is good enough. This is good enough. I've done what I need to do. I don't need to do more than that. The problem with these guys is that they're constantly chasing this sort of perfect thing. So they constantly want to add more things to the game. And they want to make the game even larger. And they want to do even more stuff. And the problem with that is every single time they decide they want to do something even more, they're putting themselves even further back in development. Development is now even slower and going to take even longer, because what else are they supposed to do? Right? Because they're chasing this perfection the whole time. It's just insane. Isn't it just the definition of copium? Everyone is huffing this stuff, thinking every promise will be made. The problem is the developers believe it too. I don't think you're wrong. I do think the developers are buying into it as well. Supposedly Squadron 42 was supposed to come out this year. I highly doubt that though. Oh yeah, Squadron 42 is also one of their games, which is meant to be a game that's coming out before the game that everyone's been backing. Based on the same level of technology, I'm assuming, or some shit like that. But again, who knows? I don't know, right? Have you seen the video from development of Clair Obscur? Game looked dramatically different 6 years ago. It's a cool behind the curtain view. I have not seen that video, but I would not be surprised. I think people oftentimes underestimate how games change from like early days and what ultimately becomes the game, right? It's the single player portion. Oh yeah. Yeah, something to that effect. Art is never finished, only ever abandoned. Ebok, you're not wrong, actually. Why aren't the games genres... I think because most people have given up on that game. Most people have realized that there's no speaking to the actual people that are bought into the game. They will not be convinced of anything. Every once in a while, like every few months, you'll see a journalist sort of write an article about what is star citizenship or scam citizenship at this point. So they'll write these articles about it, but nothing will ever change, because I myself have made videos calling it a scam. And on the video, the comments, bro, people will burn you alive. Like, if you tell the Star Citizenship community or the Star Citizen community that their game is a scam, they'll burn you alive. They will not hear it. They will run defense. They'll tell you that the game is already playable. How can it be a scam? And you go, well, technically speaking, I could just load up Unreal Engine, load the demo, and be like, well, I have a game, because you can physically run in the world. Doesn't mean it's a game, right? Doesn't mean there's anything to actually play in the game, because there's no real game yet. If you pay $15K for a ship and someone tells you you got scam pro, would you not? Well, yeah, of course. You're so bought into this. What are you supposed to do? Reach the point where I just don't look forward to anything coming out. When something good comes out, I'll hear about it organically. I guess there's probably some truth to that. Although I still can't help myself. I still see things come out and then I'm like, oh man, this is going to be so cool. And then, of course, I'm usually disappointed, because that's apparently just how it has to be. I think the pre-purchase of ships is a scam, but I don't know if the game itself is a scam. I feel like scam would be taking money for something that legitimately doesn't exist. Am I wrong on that? Apok, no, you're correct in the official wording of the scam. Right? If you call something a scam, you are correct. That usually suggests that it's not coming out. What I suggest more as a scam is that the developers are so far up their own bumholes that they're promising things that they can never actually deliver. Right? They will never be able to deliver the things that they themselves are promising. And so in that sense, it is a scam. So it's not so much that it's an objective sort of scam, right? They're not scamming their audience. It's more a scam by omission. If that makes sense. It's sort of, they're over-promising and they'll never be able to deliver on the promises that they've made. I've gotten to the point where I see something like Doom or literally everything and go, it could be good, but I don't trust anyone, so we will see. Dude, Doom is baffling. But Doom is also the proof that we need that price increases do not work. How many of you played Doom? How many of you have played Doom? Let me ask that. Because I've been playing the shit out of it. The new one, Dark Ages. I've been playing the shit out of it. It is super fun. It truly is super fun. Now, to be fair, I'm not a huge Doom player, so I haven't played any of the previous ones except for like the early like 10-bit graphic ones. But that's, I don't think, comparable in this scenario. But I've really enjoyed it. Except, it's not selling copies. If you look at the actual Steam charts for Doom the Dark Ages, it's 31k concurrent players. Now, if you do the math and you sort of look at most games and you sort of try and determine how much the copies they sell, it tends to be sort of like 6 times. Right? So you take the number of concurrent players, times it by 6, and you kind of get close to the amount of players or the amount of copies that's probably been sold of the game. That only holds for the first week. So after that, it becomes difficult to calculate. And you have to hope that they're going to be telling you how many copies the game actually sold. But fundamentally, you know, this is troubling. Well, Frozen Solid, I would say the problem with Game Pass in this instance is, again, the same as I say always. Game Pass only has 34 million players. And we now know, right, that the game has celebrated 3 million players. This means that maybe 2-point-something million players on Game Pass played the game. It's not enough. It's not enough. Not to break even. Right? If you want to break even, you need to have way more millions of people playing. The problem, of course, with Game Pass is the majority of Game Pass subscribers are subscribed to Game Pass for 1 or 2 games. They're not actually there to play everything. So Doom the Dark Ages requires Steam sales. Remember, that's why Microsoft launches all of their games on Steam as well. Game Pass is nice because hopefully it brings more people to Game Pass, but you want the sales on Steam because that's where the real money comes in. What other reason could there possibly be for this few sales? I didn't expect this game to do millions of players, just to be clear. I never expected this game to be record-breaking. But this is abysmal. There is no reason why Doom the Dark Ages should perform worse than Dragon Age the Veilguard. Let that sink in. It performed worse than Dragon Age the Veilguard on Steam. And the only thing I can think is that this game was it 70 or 80 bucks? I know for a fact it wasn't a $60 game. The problem is I can't know because all games in South Africa is in Rand, right? So I'm not entirely sure what games cost in dollars, at least not in South Africa. So unless I'm actually looking it up, and I haven't looked it up for Doom. But it's a full-priced AAA game. The issue is that a game like Doom shouldn't be that expensive. There's not that much voice acting. There's not that many cinematics. that's the future of the gaming industry. This is what's going to happen to all of these games thinking that they can push $70, $80, $90. The overwhelming majority of them is going to fail. They're just not going to make any money. Finishing through is better and cheaper. Yeah, someone made a vid saying it should have been Hexen or another ID property and not Doom, and I agree. Dave, I don't know. I am enjoying Doom. I think it's a fine game. It's really fun. The action is really cool. The music is really awesome, although I was told that the music of Doom is some of the best you'll ever hear in games. That's not true for this game. The music is fine, right? It works. It gets your blood pumping. But I wouldn't remember any of this. Isn't it also a departure from the faster and higher game style of the last two? Someone said that it's sort of like right in the middle of it. I think it was Eternal that was super fast and very movement based, and then 2016 was more slow and sort of more I think tactical. And I heard someone say that this is sort of right in between those. Not as fast as Eternal, but not as tactical as 2016. So it tried to take sort of the best of both worlds approach. Also something that cannibalizes on multiple games being successful at the same time. I remember a period of developers complaining about that. Oh, Epic, I mean, the point of Game Pass, or the thing that makes Game Pass sort of really problematic is, remember, hype is a big deal. It might not sound like a big deal, but hype really is a big deal. And hype matters. The problem with Game Pass is that it sort of cannibalizes the game at the moment that it needs the hype most. Because remember, if I'm subscribed to Game Pass, what forces me to pick up any of these games on day one? I mean, I have the game. I don't have to pick it up on day one. I can play it next week or the week after that. But remember, as a studio, one of our strongest tools is being able to tweet out, hey guys, 1 million copies sold, 2 million copies sold, 5 million copies sold. This is a massive tool because the more successful you seem, the more people go, wow, I want to try it out. Let's go. But Xbox Game Pass makes it so that first, they have to start tweeting out how many players they have rather than how many sales they have. And that already creates a pretty big problem because I don't care about players. Players is not a metric that any player actually cares about. We want to know how many copies have you sold. So I do think there's a lot of problems with Xbox Game Pass that Microsoft will at some point have to go back to the drawing board and really ask themselves whether or not day one Game Pass releases make sense. Because for as much value as day one releases add to the Game Pass, it also destroys games as a result of that value that it adds. If anything, Game Pass should be cannibalizing dying companies with one good game, like say the Shadow of Mordor games or anything that is getting pulled from Steam. A lot of people didn't like that Mick Gordon, the music composer for Doom, was pushed out when Dark Ages was in development. Wait, how was he pushed out? It sounds like a place that promotes hype that is negative as well as positive. But that's Phil Spencer, baby. He can't possibly get rid of it. No, I mean, Phil Spencer has placed all of his hope and all of his dreams into this service that you're looking at right now. Phil Spencer can't step out of this. This is his child. Don't know if that's smart. Don't know if that's smart. I will say, though, I'm happy about this game coming to Xbox Game Pass. And it's coming soon, 20 days. The Altars. I've been looking forward to the Altars for a long time. So it coming to Game Pass, heck yeah. If it's good, I'll buy it on Steam. That's sort of how I use Xbox Game Pass. I play the game as a demo, and if I like it, I'll buy it on Steam. If I don't like it that much, I'll just finish it and then I'll move on. I'm not sure what it is, but something about the UI putting me off. Yeah, sometimes you can't know, right? Sometimes it's just something weird and you're like, I don't know. It just doesn't speak to me at all. And I respect that. Good games still sell, even when on Game Pass. Expedition 33, quality is what matters. So, gamer, you're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong. Good games still sell, even if they are on Game Pass, but not when you charge $70. Because remember, when you charge $70, you're already pricing a lot of people out of the game. A lot of people cannot pay $70 for a game. So you're either going to get a lot more, and I would actually love to see the statistics on this in about a year. I won't tell you how I'll know this, but I will know this. In about a year, I'll be able to tell you just how much piracy for video games have increased. And we know they will. It was Steam that showed the research on this. When Steam introduced regional pricing, piracy went down by 80%. 80% of people stopped pirating games when regional pricing was introduced. Why? Because if I can afford the game, why would I pirate it? It's much easier to just buy it on Steam. But once you get to $70, that becomes very difficult to swing. Because I don't want to pay $70 for games. Or $80 for games, or $90 for games, right? I don't want to pay that. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that are just going to be like, nah, fam, I'm good. Blacks and Grays with a single highlight, excluding game backgrounds. Blood Clair Obscure on Steam and PS5 physical, just to support the studio. I could have pirated it for free. Well, yeah, I think everyone, gamers are more than happy to support brilliant studios. Right? I mean, I'm sure every single one of you are more than happy to give money to studios that entertain you, that make games that you love. Am I wrong? Sure. We're happy to help. I've been pirating games since early 2000 using Usenet, but in the last 25 years, I've never not supported a studio or a game I didn't like. It's a hacker's code I have. I agree with that. On the Mick Gordon issue, apparently he wasn't paid for half the soundtrack in Eternal, and that the exec producer was abusive through his work. Wow. I can understand that people might be a little upset about that, because from what I heard, the music was always the thing that most people were sort of celebrating in Doom. I think the gaming industry, just generally speaking, struggles. What the hell do we have here? Dude, this is Morgan J. Freeman. He was visited by the FBI yesterday for a post, according to him, that Kash Patel didn't like. And now he's tagging all of the news articles about this, right? In what universe do you think you can post this and the FBI won't come to your house? Okay, well, you literally just posted a death threat to the President of the United States of America. And the FBI is gonna what? Probably just a joke. Yeah, I'm sure they take that shit not seriously at all. I'm sure that's not one of their top priorities to make sure that, I don't know, the President of the United States doesn't get killed by some weird guy. Like, you could go 86, any other number, and the FBI wouldn't give two craps. But when you go 8647, now the FBI does care. Because that's the president. 86 means assassinate. That's what 86 means. It's gangster talk for assassinate. It's also used in restaurants, by the way, to mean that there is no more code 86 or 86 it, which means kill it, right? That's literally what it means. So, yeah, to argue that, oh, they're taking away my rights, as like, no, you never had the right to threaten the United States president. That's not a right anyone has. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Dude, people are so bloody stupid. 86 is meaning to get rid of, or police code for homicide. Yeah. Well, 86 literally, just means get rid of, gotten rid of, murder. Basically, a bunch of different meanings depending on who you are. If you're a gangster, 86 means take care of him. If you're the police, 86 means someone took care of him. If you're in a restaurant, 86 means we have no more left. It's one of those magical numbers that means a lot of things to a lot of people. This was common sense when I was a child in elementary school. Dude, I would argue common sense should be we don't threaten anyone with violence, you know? Like, I don't know. I might be wrong. Maybe I'm just old school, you know, and I don't know what I'm talking about, but threatening violence used to be a thing that wasn't allowed, and you didn't do that. I grew up with older gangster films where you would hear things like they've been 86th, the N-bomber, as in nuclear, right? Yeah. It means get rid of. Yeah, I don't know. It was always meant to eliminate or get rid of. Yeah, everyone knows this, right? Everyone knows this. It still isn't. Incitement of violence is not protected under the First Amendment. No, it shouldn't be, right? And it's not even about the First Amendment here, right? It's not even about incitement to violence, because none of these people, you will note, actually get prosecuted by the FBI. The FBI literally just starts investigating them. Because, and you would expect that the FBI would take any threat, whether serious or not, right? Whether it's like a genuine threat or just a joke threat. If the FBI knows that there is someone threatening the president of the United States, they're going to investigate you. Because they have to make sure that you're not actually thinking about it. As the leftists mean peacefully remove when they say 86, because we know they are so peaceful and loving, of course. If you care about Medicaid fraud, kick Rick Scott. Or kill Rick Scott. Yeah, I don't know, man. All I know for a fact is that there's a lot of nonsense in American politics, but if this week has proven anything to me, it's that the South African media is so much worse. So much worse. The Hasan quote, by the way. Oh, yeah. I remember. Oh, yeah, I actually remember that. Never mind. I remember Hasan saying that. Revolutionaries, only trouble, aren't they? Oh, man. You have no idea. South Africa, the media in South Africa, although I would actually say the worst people in South Africa are the leftist white people. Like, oh, my goodness, bro. Oh, wow. White left-wing morons in South Africa might actually be, unironically, the worst people in the world. I have never seen a group of people freak out so hard, right, as white liberals over the claims that there's genocide in South Africa. let's just quickly examine this, right? Even if there were no genocide in South Africa, which there is, but even if there weren't, why would this upset a white liberal? Like, why would you be upset? You're not being accused of killing white people in South Africa. Right? At best, what you should do is like, no, there isn't, and move on with your life, right? Like, why would you care? Except, dude, they act as if someone personally accused them of committing the crimes. And then you have morons, white liberals. Oh my goodness, bro, you have no idea. White liberals in this country are evil beyond belief, but you have them claiming shit like, I'm a white South African and I never feel unsafe in my own country. And it's like, bro, you live in a security village. You have 24-hour security watching the gates, checking who comes in and who gets out. What are you talking about? You don't feel, oh, Mr. Whitey in South Africa, you don't feel unsafe in South Africa? Please join me as I drive you down to Soweto in the middle of the night. I'll drop you off and you can go take a wander. Let's see how it goes for you. Like, please, go. You don't feel unsafe in South Africa, so let's go. Soweto, Sheshego, I can take you to a bunch of different places. Midtown Joburg, how does that sound? Middle of the night, let's go for a stroll. Since you feel so safe in South Africa. I too feel super safe in my home in South Africa. Because I have security that I pay 24/7 to keep me safe. That's the only reason I feel safe. The second I leave the security gates, I no longer feel safe. Because now I know, shit, things can get real fast. Right? Because that's South Africa for you. You're constantly on edge. You constantly know. And I don't even think people in the rest of the world know what this is like. And I think if South Africans actually just thought for 2 seconds, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Do you guys in the rest of the world, when you stop at the red light, do you look in your mirrors, side mirrors, you know, sort of mirror in front, whatever that's called, the rear view mirror? So do you constantly look around to see if someone is walking towards your car maliciously, say, for example? You're just stopping at a red light, right? So you're just waiting to go. I do. Every single time I stop at a red light, every single time I stop at a traffic light, I'm looking. Do you lock your doors as soon as you enter the house? Every single time. Because I do. Even though I live in a security village, and I pay for security to keep me safe 24/7. I lock my doors every single time. I check the windows, the doors, everything, every single night to make sure that it's all locked because I don't want to take chances. They could get over the wall. They could get in. Security might not catch them. Maybe the security is in on it and then you die, right? So clearly you don't want to take chances. When you walk down the street and you hear loud noises, there's that moment in you that you go, just a moment. It's a short moment. It's a tiny moment, but there is that moment of it's happening, right? And then you go, oh, no, it's just the car backfiring. It's fine. Or, oh, it's just a guy yelling. It's fine. But every single South African, if they were truly honest with themselves, would say, this is the general life of a South African. You're constantly in fear for what may happen. And it doesn't mean that things happen every single day, right? Like, most of the time, nothing happens. But it doesn't mean that it won't happen. It doesn't mean that you're not constantly looking out for it may be happening. I really enjoyed Aspen's stream of Trump meeting Ramaphosa. Oh, what did Aspen have to say about it, CCS? A period in time when a lot of people wanted to clean your front windshield, but that's not too dangerous. Yeah, we had that for a while as well. But nowadays, I've gotten to the point where even beggars that come up to my window, I will not roll down my window. So I have in my windows, it's called anti-smash and grab. Again, don't know if you guys have that in America, but basically every single car here has anti-smash and grab, which is like specialized film that they put on your windows so that people can't smash and grab, so they can't break your windows, or at least it makes it much harder to break the window. So when I see beggars coming out, I just immediately roll up the window. Because you never know. That guy might not actually be there to beg, right? He might actually be there to do other things. Seen it yet? It was just hilarious. Trump interrupted Ramaphosa saying there's no persecution with clips of Malema calling for violence. Yeah. They will add that soon in California. Yeah, well, we have it here pretty much everywhere. Insurance usually demands that you have anti-smash and grab installed, depending on where you look. I always lock my door, but more for a reason that I don't want to speak with people. Oh, Apple, that's perfectly fine. It's perfectly reasonable. He then handed the list of news articles for Ramaphosa to hold while he was explaining himself. Look at his face when Trump shows the video. Dude, that's the wildest thing to me. People going, oh, Ramaphosa handled it so well, you know, in the wake of Trump's lies. And then you just go, while the video is playing, you see Ramaphosa laughing. He's smirking until he realizes, oh shit, wait, there's cameras. I can't be laughing at this. He sits there smirking, which to me is just, I have my theories. I won't share them, but I have my theories. Did you see Caroline Levitt argue with that CNN reporter trying to say those crosses are lies because they're technically not burial grounds? Yeah, here's the problem with the media and what most people won't tell you because the media is so desperate to lie about this. The protest, so the physical crosses that Trump showed there, they were bought, right, by families who lost family members to farm attacks. That was the whole point. It was a protest against a protest and a mourning. It's called Black Monday, I believe it was. And on this Black Monday, the families of people who lost family members, Friedrich, how you doing, man? Who lost family members, they were the ones who went and spoke about this, right? They were the ones who went. Friedrich, I don't see another message of yours. But ladies and gentlemen, that's my brother. Friedrich. I don't see another message of yours. I only see this one that you just linked me here. Or that you just wrote there. I may have missed it, so just write it again if I have missed it. But what was I talking about again? Oh, these were crosses bought. But let me show you. Please, let me show you. These were not bought for Black Friday, for Black Monday. This is close to where I grew up. Right there at the top, if you look at that, the word written there is plaasmoorde. Plaasmoorde means farm murders. These are all the crosses of the people just in that community. It's on a farmer's. It's on a farm where the farmer himself allowed them to come put down these crosses to protest the violent deaths happening in their own communities. This is just one community. And these weren't bought. These are not for show, right? You could make the argument that these are not actual burial sites. These are not actually representative of the amount of farmers actually being murdered. But these are. This is close to where I grew up. I know the people who put this up. I can guess what the theory of yours is, and I agree with it completely. I rate that smirk as, yeah, isn't that good and tribal of us? Oh, wait. Yeah. The crosses, South Africa, yo, Ak, you need to make it to America ASAP. What will happen will happen. How you doing, Ice Darkness? I mean, the Lord will provide in his own time. I will either be in South Africa or I'll be in America. It depends on what God wants me to do, right? Where he wants me, that's where I'll be. And I'll serve wherever he needs me. But when people make the argument that there is just, nothing to it because currently CNN and those guys are all out there in force trying to pretend like none of this is actually real, just show them this. Show them this. There's hundreds of crosses there, and that's a single community. That's not countrywide. That's one community. What do you think it looks like when you go countrywide? Trump knows it's real. Don't worry. We hear you over here. Oh, yeah. I mean, you could look at Trump's face during all of this. Ramaphosa was trying to play his sort of cool, be cool and sort of try to explain, no, you don't know what I'm talking, you don't know what's going on here. And you could just see Trump's face. He wasn't moved. He was just like, sure, bro. Like, sure. No worries.
The government of South Africa.
Hold up. What's this? South Africa's crashing out now. Hold up. Let me see this. What the hell is happening now?
Announces it's now going to be considered treasonous for their people to mention the poor treatment of white people. Nah, it's bullshit. Let me hear it.
And all their inner circles here in Parliament who went to the United States to spin a narrative of victimhood of white people being murdered by blacks. These treasonous acts mobilizing the United States government to interfere in the domestic affairs of our country.
Minister, your response, please.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. As indicated earlier, the law enforcement agencies are investigating the treasonous act of misinformation and also that which is provided for in the, I forgot the right naming of the act that talks about treason in the country.
What a shithole. God damn, I'm glad I don't live there. Wow. Yep, what a shithole. Wow. Yeah, misinformation? Jesus. It's treason? I mean, hey, here's my opinion about, South Africa. Everything that I've read about it has just made me happier to be an American. I'll tell you that.
Look at that smirk. That's what I'm talking about. Like, bro. Yeah. The fact that they want to make it an actual treasonous act to speak out against this should tell you everything you need to know. So, Akko, be safe. Your government considers this topic treasonous now. Just disgusting. Dude, if I have to go to jail because I refuse to not speak out about it, then so be it. Right? Then that's just how it is. I'm not worried, right? Because whatever happens will happen. Mr. Mufasa better sit and take his talking to. I can tell you this, if they continue down this road, they'll most likely start a civil war. Are you, brother? I'll be praying for you and your family, though. Thank you, Apoc. I really appreciate that. Was there a message show in the chat log thing with the quotes? YouTube nuked it instantly. No, there's no messages, at least not in YouTube chat. But CCS should be able to see it as well. He's a mod. I will send it again with the hopes it would display. I sent you a message that would contribute to the chat. Oh, but Friedrich, yeah, I just need to. Did you send it to me on WhatsApp or? Oh, you sent it to me on WhatsApp. Hold up. I don't have WhatsApp on my PC. So as John Steenhuisen, MP, was present. Get off. Don't do this. Oh my goodness, I hate this. Dude, I hate LinkedIn. Why must it always be so difficult to run LinkedIn? It showed on the on-screen chat. I don't have the app. Just give me the mobile bullshit. Okay, so I'm just going to read this to you guys because it's on my phone and I don't have this on my PC. So I'll just read it to you. So as John Steenhuisen MP was present as a token white delegate member brought to the White House to correct President Trump in the White House on his interpretation of farm murders in South Africa. In his address to President Trump, he framed farm murders as part of a broader security and political crisis, linking rural safety to the fight against extremist political movements. The repeated theme was that white farmers or white people are not disproportionately affected by crime, since there is crime everywhere in any event. Basically, they told President Trump that he was wrong, this while another delegate, Retief Goosen, verified that his parents' friends had been murdered, that they fear for their safety every time they go out, that they live behind electric fences, and that they have also been attacked twice in their homes already. Then we have the following history that contradicts all of their futile efforts to minimize the fear of white South Africans. Steenhuisen, farm murders show ANC's failure on rural safety. This was in the Daily Maverick on February the 15th, 2024. That's Mr. Steenhuisen himself, right? Saying that farm murders is a problem. This is before he joined the government of national unity. So before he became a minister, he actually admitted that farm murders is a pretty big problem. DA leader demands from Ramaphosa to declare farm murders a priority crime. That's in News 24, January 22nd, 2022, 2024. Steenhuisen slams police in action after latest farm attack. That's in November 5th, 2023. DA calls for rural safety plan as farm murders rise. This is July 18th, 2023. Steenhuisen challenges Bheki Cele, the Minister of Police, over farm murder stats. This was in Times Live, October 10, 2022. ANC ignoring farm killings, says DA leader, that's again Mr. Steenhuisen, in the Sowetan, May 5th, 2022. Steenhuisen demands rural safety summit after farm attacks, August 12, 2021. DA leader accuses ANC of downplaying farm murders, Politics Web, March 3rd, 2021. These are all news articles, right? Where the news are writing about Mr. Steenhuisen. Steenhuisen, SAPS must prioritize farm murders. News 24, November 9th, 2020. DA calls for urgent debate on farm killings, IOL, February 18, 2020. This is the man that sat. This is the man that sat in the White House telling President Trump there is no problem. Farm murders is not a problem. There is no genocide in South Africa. Yet, there are calls going back to 2020, February 18th, 2020, where he says there is a problem with farm murders. You see, but now he's in government. Now it's important to him that this government doesn't lose. And he knows if America turns its back on this government, South Africa's over. You see, now it's no longer expedient for this man to stand behind white people because he's in power now, right? He now needs to stand behind the majority. He needs to show people that he's a champion of South Africa. I'll never vote for a party that insults my intelligence. I've never voted for them and I never will, right? Because I think, if anything, it's now clear that John Steenhuisen is a snake. And I would like to point out the same thing about the guy, what was his name again? What's the rich asshole that also stood there in the White House? What was his name again? I'm completely blanking. He's the richest man in South Africa. I'm completely blanking. Johan Rupert. Yes, thank you. I'm just trying to see. Because Johan Rupert claimed that he sleeps with his doors unlocked. But there's an article. There's an article that proves that this is complete nonsense. You see, this was the Kifness. He's a guy that's causing a lot of problems in South Africa. Johan Rupert's farm is manned by 24/7 security guards. So I have no doubt that the man sleeps with his doors open. It's so that the private security can move through the house and constantly make sure that he's safe. Bro, Johan Rupert said he had a private military for the day the raid ones come. Dude, Johan Rupert is such... Dude, these snakes, absolute snakes, selling out their own people because they would rather pretend like everything's fine. Because, of course, if America stops playing with South Africa, Johan Rupert loses a lot of money. But, CCS, you weren't here when I showed this earlier. Look at that. Just look at that. Turns out maybe Trump wasn't wrong. Turns out maybe Trump wasn't lying. You know, when the official, at least according to this article, when the European Council, like this, the European Security Council or Intelligence and Security Council finds that Trump's claims about genocide is true, maybe there is a problem here. I don't know. I'm just saying. It's kind of interesting, though. Jay versus Evil, how you doing, bro? Trump doesn't lie, man. He's not a slime politician. I'm sure Trump lied. You know, everyone lies. It's very rare to find someone that doesn't lie. Everyone lies. The question is, does he lie about the big things? Or rather, the question is he purposefully deceitful? And there, I don't think so. I think Trump is way too simplistic to be purposefully deceitful. He's just sort of like whatever what you see is what you get kind of guy. Too many things are labeled genocide, so it loses its meaning, but there is something going on, persecution, stochastic terrorism, all sorts of shit. I think the big problem isn't so much that it's that people don't understand what genocide is, right? People think that genocide is just, it has to be millions upon millions of people dying. That's the only way it can be genocide. And it's sort of like, well, no, that isn't what genocide means. All genocide means is that people are being killed purely because of their skin color, their religion, their sexuality, whatever, right? So they're being killed for a specific reason. In other words, the murders are targeted at them. That's all that's needed for something to be genocide. Trump might exaggerate when it comes to the business, but he doesn't lie when it comes to these political things. Well, we'll end up seeing what happens. You know, one of the things that I did think about, and I wonder how many refugees are keeping this in mind. If in 2028, J.D. Vance wins, no problem. But what happens if a Democrat wins in 2028? Because if you're a refugee from South Africa, you're out. they'll deport your ass so quickly that and remember, now you're being deported back to a country that you fled from. You just saw the videos. The government is already trying to make it a treasonous act to even begin to mention that there is some kind of genocide. What do you think the government is going to do to people who left the country out of fear of persecution once they're being sent back to South Africa? Do you think the country is going to be nice to them? When hearing genocide, the term itself has a far broader meaning, true. So that is something that should be kept in mind, I think, by people who go to South Africa or go to America from South Africa. If you're a refugee there, you need to hope that J.D. Vance wins in 2028. Because if it's a Democrat that wins, you're on your way back. Because I don't know what's going on with the messages. Like, CCS, are you seeing any messages being held by YouTube? Because what I would say, this is very awkward at the moment. Because usually YouTube will hold them, but it'll still tell us that it's holding it, right? We'll be able to see the messages being held, at least. See, mods messages should never be held. I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing a single message. I'm not seeing anything wrong. Let me see if I can find it maybe in something withheld. Bro. Seeing the front page of my YouTube is just so depressing. How can everything be down? Like views down, watch time down, everything's just down. This is depressing as shit. Anyways, let's just quickly see if I can find maybe hidden comments. Community. We usually have a place where you can check if comments were held. No. I have no idea. Okay, I have no idea why YouTube is holding these messages. Lots of people here in America have Trump was right signs in their yard, just saying. Lance, how you doing, bro? I mean, what's interesting to me is how most conservative... Drayden, how you doing, bro? Well, now you have to come to America, become an American. Drayden, I'll go where God wants me, right? So if God wants me in America, I'll be in America. Otherwise, I'll be here and I'll do what I have to do. Primary Axiom, dude, your channel is shadow banned beyond belief. That's why. I don't know if it's shadow banning. Primary Axiom, I think it might be just a collection of some people don't care about the politics in video game stuff anymore. Maybe a lot of people also don't really care about the South African stuff. I don't know if it's shadow banning specifically. There's also been changes to the algorithm. The algorithm is very weird now. I can see it. My views are super low, which probably just not entertaining enough. And then, yeah, obviously as a result, earnings are super low. But I'll just keep working. You know, what will happen will happen. It was dumb. I was on Top Chat. Oh yeah, you guys should also just ensure that you're not in Top Chat, please. When you come to YouTube in YouTube streaming, make sure that this is ticked to live chat. It is never shown for me. I feel like you're being throttled. All I can ask is that you guys hit the like button and comment on the videos. Right? That's what I'll ask, because that's the only way to fight them. If I am being throttled, if I am being shadow banned, the only way for you to stop that is to hit that like, to comment on the video, and then share the videos. Go to Reddit and share the video on Reddit. Push that video because that's the only way you'll fight it, right? I don't know how else to fight shadow banning. If I am being shadow banned, I always try to blame myself instead, right? Because I might be just not good enough. I might not be doing things right. So I'll always look at myself and say, I need to do better. I have my suspicions that something's going on, but it could be something else. So, Maiden, how are you doing? Have you tried searching for common keywords that you use on a brand new account? I just somehow doubt your videos will come up. No, I haven't. I should probably check in, but hey. I will say that I avoided politics for a while. It was tough being in a position where you couldn't argue for your views because your supposed leaders lost the plot. Mine was Top Chat. Oh yeah, Jay, if you do it in Top Chat, you won't see all of your messages because YouTube's Top Chat decides what to show you. Like a good little parent that only wants you to see the top messages. But then oftentimes it means you miss like 10 or 20% of all messages because, it's just not there. So yeah, that does happen from time to time. You see the messages I sent in the stream chat? It could be that YouTube is censoring the crap out of things right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if YouTube is shadow banning stuff, right? That's why a lot of people are streaming. That's why a lot of YouTubers stream. Because it's an extra way of making money, right? When your viewers subscribe or when your viewers donate or whatever, it helps, right? It helps a ton. Because I wouldn't be surprised if YouTube is not necessarily shadow banning, but definitely depopularizing sort of right-wing channels that are more conservative. Because remember, YouTube is super far left. If you're a far left platform or a far left company, would you not want to do everything in your power to ensure that you don't add more conservative voices to the chorus? The last thing you want is more conservative content creators becoming more successful. So I wouldn't be surprised if YouTube does sort of not necessarily shadow ban, but deregulate a lot of content. I avoided politics until they came for my games. Rob, yeah, I was pretty much the same. Some people I saw reported they're flagging vids on the meeting, on the meeting as misinformation, but like I've seen one vid only on that subject. They didn't flag mine, luckily. I haven't gotten into that much trouble yet. But hey, you conservative nowadays in YouTube, cost them, yeah. And the thing is, they can't keep you down forever. Right? At some point, your community starts sharing your videos, putting it on X, putting it on Twitter or Reddit or Facebook or whatever. Right? Your community starts pushing your content because they enjoy it and they want more people to see it. And then the algorithm no longer matters. Right? Because YouTube can't stop people from coming to YouTube from other places and finding the videos and finding them entertaining. So the job of a content creator like myself is just to keep making good videos and hope that they become good enough that people go, yeah, I like this. And I want other people to see it. We just wanted to keep playing good games until they ruined them is a very common origin story. Yeah. Can you guys remember like 15 years ago when we still dreamt of what games will look like in 10 years? Like, do you remember that? Playing your favorite game and thinking, man, the graphics are so good. Imagine what they'll do in 10 years. And then Dragon Age the Veilguard is 10 years later. And you're like, not quite what I had in mind when I was dreaming of what games will be one day. Modern Warfare and RuneScape back then, didn't want anything else. No, I remember just thinking the graphics are so good. Well, how good is it going to be one day? You know, now graphics don't even matter to me. Just give me a good game and I'll be happy. Oblivion. Wait, bro, Oblivion BTFO's Avowed? What do you mean? Kiramori, how you doing? I hardly ever see your content, even with notifications on. I usually have to look you up. Kiramori, you're not the first person to tell me that. I genuinely don't know what to do. Right? I wish I could fix that. I wish there was a way. I don't know anyone at YouTube. I don't know any of the... I don't have a partner manager or anything like that. So I don't know. Right. I think YouTube. Yeah, I think if YouTube is pushing down my content, it is what it is. That's just the price I have to pay. And it just means I have to work so much harder. You know, I have to find ways of getting around that bloody algorithm and their nonsense and make it work. There's a video that puts avocado next to 2006 Oblivion and compares it. I don't know what... Avocado, why? Oh, Avowed. Oh, wow. When you just said avocado, I was like, wait, what? What kind of comparison is that? Like that makes no sense whatsoever. I think for a long time, we've been reluctant to post our views on topics or games if we enjoyed the topic, game or show. That gave an opening for scums to come in, create bots, and downvote you. Oh yeah, that. I mean, at this point, I would actually pay for some, downvote bots on my channel. I wouldn't pay for the bots, but I would love to have them because even downvotes is still good. It's engagement, right? And the algorithm wants to see. Well, it doesn't like downvotes, but it does want to see upvotes. It wants to see comments. It wants to see people enjoying the content, else it just dies. What are you going to do? All I can ask is that if you can swing it, if you have a couple of bucks lying around, to go over to Patreon and, give $5 on Patreon or become a member a year for $5. You get early access to the content. Or, drop a super chat if you feel like, hey, I like what he's doing. I will always appreciate that shit, right? Outside of that, I just want you to enjoy the content. So you don't have to worry about anything. Right? I'm not going to make you pay for anything ever. I will never put my videos behind a paywall. The best I do at the moment is I give you early access. So you get the videos usually about 6 to 8 hours prior to everyone else. But that's it, right? You'll never get paywall content for me or anything like that. I like knowing that everyone can see my content and it's there. So yeah, just enjoy what I put out and it'll be fine. Damn, it's 8 p.m. here. Caliph, it's 7 here and I have to go grab some food because I have not eaten yet. I should probably eat something. Yeah, you and me both. I haven't eaten either. But I'm super happy. We got through all of the topics. We discussed everything I wanted to discuss. I got to talk to you guys about, all the madness in the world, which is always super funny. I'm usually like, I usually live for most of the content anyways. That's fine. I'm okay with making streams members only after stream. Gamers Republic, the reason I don't want to do like members only stuff or do like paywall content is I want people to support because they choose to, not because they feel. I hate the whole sort of fear of missing out stuff, the FOMO stuff. I hate that, and I don't want to be a content creator that does that. The early access I feel like is perfect because when my videos go up for early access, most people are at work or still asleep. So by the time Americans wake up, the video is already public. So the Americans don't even care about it, right? The Europeans just got home from work. So why would they even care, right? Because you're at work, why are you going to watch it? So it's sort of like this, it's an extra perk if you want to support. But I never want to do something that makes people go, man, I need to support because I don't want to miss out on something. I hate that. So if you want to support the channel, I love you for that. But if you don't, then you don't, right? And you don't have to. And I won't ever put content into anything that is sort of behind that paywall. I watch all of the Twitch streams, and I still watch the vids of the the streamed clips after sometimes. I appreciate that. I've just had some pasta. What kind of pasta, Jay? Sounds scary there. Custom, you get used to it. I can. It's not. I don't think it's necessarily like bad. It's more a case of when it's all you've ever known, it's just normal, right? Like, you don't necessarily think about the stuff that's wrong. You don't necessarily think about all of the stuff that's broken because you're just used to it. Like, what else? This is just life, you know. So don't worry about us too much here. Everyone will do what they need to do. Okay, hear me out. Banger Business members only Timberborn stream, but I don't want to stream Timberborn. I usually just listen to your videos when they come out while I'm at work, Ravy G, and I still appreciate that. Bro, if I go to my history and I type in Echo, even though I have some of your videos in my history, it doesn't bring you up. If I do that with other channels, it does. May I ask you to once play No Race for the Wicked? I fell so hard in love with the game, and I feel that company needs more attention. It's just pure art. Friedrich, I will probably play it at some point. Just right now, I'm busy with other games. But I mean, I made videos about it. I've run sort of the gauntlet trying to advertise the game because Thomas Mahler is a fellow anti-woke based developer, and I think we should support based developers, right? Like, that's super good. We should have more developers that's based and that isn't willing to do nonsense politics in their video games. So yeah, I'm happy to play the game. I'm just a bit busy with other games at the moment, so I won't be playing it right now. But okay, guys, with that said, I want to thank all of you for coming out, for hanging out with me, for spending your day, your afternoon, your evening, whatever time it was for you, with me. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed being here. I hope it was entertaining. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, be good to each other. Be kind to each other. And I will see all of you in the next one. Peace.